G'day guys, welcome back to Beyond This World. My name is Bailey. We're going to be looking today at AI. Now, this is a topic that a lot of people really don't know too much about, other than the fact that there's ChatGPT, which I use most days. And I think a lot of people do most days as well. However, this guy, which I'll show you soon, he's in the tech world. He's very much amongst the AI chatter. He knows what the government's using it for, and and how it's going to change the world essentially and everyone's lives. He's claiming there's 900 days left until this is pretty much permanent. As of next year, he believes that 15% of the US's workforce will be replaced with AI. He touches on, you know, um, the sort of authoritarian state, sort of George Orwell 1984 sort of state we're heading towards with the media, with censorship, and basically how AI is going to be one massive algorithm that we're going to be plugged into, telling us what to say and think. So it's just one of those things where not enough is being talked about the possibility that this could undermine the social fabric that we know of already and cause catastrophic repercussions as a result. So without any further ado, let me get into this video, and I will share the screen with you now. Perfect. Let's get into it.
Analogies on AI. This AI will be in front of you more than the TV that you watch.
Mm.
And are you happy with Al Jazeera, Fox News, China National Broadcasting? Like, everyone's got their own preferences. But if you've only got Silicon Valley AI TV or China AI TV, which are the two leads right now, that's going to be very different to what you might actually need.
Absolutely. I still am trying to figure out how this is something you are managing to sell to, even in this country, we're being downgraded in terms of our openness, right? We think of,
Yeah.
the UK and Europe as sort of, open democracies, but even here, that's shrinking very rapidly. The space of our freedoms is shrinking rapidly. I suppose I stand on the side of I'm concerned that these technologies are being used by governments to further their control and ability to subvert any form of popular accountability of governance rather than enhance governance. Do you see any indicators that governments do want to enhance democratic governance?
Palantir.
I think that governments ultimately are the entities with a monopoly on political violence. That's a very classical way of describing them. And they want to perpetuate power.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any third party entity telling them to do the right thing effectively, which is why you see a lot of myopic policies and flip flopping. Like
Right.
here in the UK right now, there's a reason that it's minus 70% approval rating because of the flip flopping. We actually have two different strands to what we're doing. One of them is this bottom up universal basic AI.
Yeah.
The other is something we announced a few weeks ago called the Sovereign AI Governance Engine. So we actually launched that in Saudi Arabia, of all places. But it's a free open resource for governments around the world whereby you can have policy creation, augmentation, and others using incredibly powerful AI. So it can tell if a bill is fully constitutional transparently and describe it.
Mm-hmm.
It can say if something adheres to UK norms, ethics, and the positions of a party instantly in a way that's irrefutable.
And will the way that these systems operate be what I would call opaque, meaning the governments themselves will control them and we won't be able to see, for example, were they to subvert those tools to say, oh no, everyone's saying, the AI is saying this is fully constitutional? Or will we, the population, be able to see the mechanisms of how those decisions are arrived at by the AI and then be able to, have any kind of input if they are being, who knows, subverted by nefarious parties?
Well, this is the thing. Right now, the governments are embracing Anthropic, OpenAI, these black box solutions. This is fully transparent and open source.
Mm-hmm.
And you can run your own version to double check the outputs if you want.
Mm-hmm.
So that transparency, I think, is what is essential. And again, these defaults are what is essential. In 5-10 years, you will have an AI companion with you. Who's coded that and who are they working for? In 5-10 years, governments will be guided and run by AIs. Who's coded that? Who are they working for? And so Our aim is to make that default and fully transparent and open because we think that's the right thing to do. And it's very difficult to argue against unless you're a fully totalitarian regime.
Of which there are a few,
There are a
and a
few.
growing number.
The UK is not one yet.
Not yet.
I literally saw a video, guys, today on a North Korean phone, like a Samsung phone, and it literally had been somehow in the hands of this reporter from the UK. And she was going through the phone, basically saying if you type in Oppa, it corrects itself and says comrade. If you type in another word, um, South Korea, it types in puppet state and then warns you. And then the screen of the phone is snapshotted every 5 seconds and sent to the state to say what you're looking at, what you're doing. And the main thing about this phone, it has no connectivity to the internet. Has every other feature, just cannot connect to the internet other than state ticked approved messaging apps and so forth. But very interesting, very interesting.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So again, the time is closing for this. Like in the wake of the Arab Spring, we saw
Yeah.
micro-targeting of protesters, and they'd follow up with the families and things like that.
Yeah.
What you have now between dynamic drone technology, the ability to have AI secret police and other things, is nothing like we've ever seen before. The ability of governments to have total control will go up exponentially, and as well as controlling the whole media narrative, because the AI is incredibly persuasive. In fact, there was a study done on Reddit whereby they created bots that would be like a black person who was anti-BLM and caricatures like that. They unleashed them on Reddit, and then they saw how persuasive they were, and they scored on the 99th percentile of persuasiveness with AI from last year. And again, if you construct it, all this Cambridge Analytica stuff, like
Yes.
it's child's play compared to what's coming, and actually what's already being deployed right now.
So the swaying of elections using AI technologies that make you think you're making independent decisions, but are actually a product of your awful timeline. And if you're on X like I am, then I only see like the most vitriolic. And in fact, Sky did a study on this recently. 70% of the output on there is, far right kind of style content. So no doubt that's already happening.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the job uncertainty, the job losses, all of the disruption that's going to come from that, because you recently warned that the economic uncertainty caused by AI-driven losses will increase social unrest and violence. And of course, you're not alone in predicting this. Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, has raised similar concerns about societal disruption. He stressed the need for retraining programs and AI taxes to avoid a crisis. He estimates this could push unemployment to 20% within 1 to 5 years. I'd be interested to see if you think that that's conservative or on point. Is this kind of looming disruption why the billionaires are building bunkers?
Yes, actually, it's one of the reasons. Generally, it's what they do, but I know a lot of AI CEOs now who've cancelled all public appearances, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk and things like that. They think that that's going to be the next wave of anti-AI sentiment next year, because next year is the year that AI models go from not being good enough, the dumb member of your team, and again, the people listening to this will be like, yeah, the AI is not good enough. Then overnight, it becomes good enough. And then the job losses start, and we don't know where they end, because you don't need to hire back if your company is more productive. If there's an economic shock, like a recession, and indications point to a recession in the next year or two, much easier to fire, but then you never rehire. Even something like in the US, the Federal Reserve, adjusts interest rates, or the Bank of England here, and they have a mandate of inflation and unemployment. You reduce interest rates, people can spend more as consumers, and companies can hire more because they can borrow cheaper. What's going to happen is you reduce interest rates, companies just hire more AI workers, not human workers. So the link between labor and capital gets broken, and it doesn't reverse. It's not like the AI will get dumber. It's not that the AI will become less capable. The moment it becomes more capable than you as a remote worker, it doesn't go back. And then there's questions of, can you reskill enough jobs or create enough new jobs? Typically, we had time as we had the different revolutions, the internet, industrial revolution, because it took time to build the infrastructure. But this AI just uses existing infrastructure.
Yeah.
to be better than humans. And that's crazy.
So that's why we're up against the clock, and that's what you're talking about in the book. What about the pushback that we're seeing already from some workers? So we saw the Hollywood writers, they went on a 140-day strike because the studios were using AI to write and rewrite scripts, in fact. Then in 2024, the cleaners in Denmark signed a union deal forcing their company to explain how algorithms assign jobs and rate workers, and gave them the right to challenge those decisions. I mean, do you see a global labor movement able to take on these challenges?
I don't think it moves fast enough. And even then, there's an education thing. So the SAG-AFTRA, the writer's strike, I thought it was terrible for AI rights for workers. They should have protected the workers much more.
How so?
There were all sorts of loopholes on likeness and licensing, etc., that you could drive a truck through. Like you could mix two people's likenesses together if you have the right rights and things like that, or a character and a person.
Yeah.
What we've seen in Hollywood now, or even here in the UK, is last year you couldn't use AI.
Yeah.
It was like, no, there's verboten. Now everyone's like, we're all using AI. And by next year, you will be able to generate Hollywood level movies real time with massive compute. The year after with less compute. And so there's entire swathes of the industry whose job is to be between the ideation and the creation of a video file that are going to get displaced very, very quickly. And it's not like anyone needs camera grips and other things anymore. The amount of time that you need to shoot a scene will just go to one scene and then adaptation in post-production with AI. So I think that there needs to be more protection for workers, but it's not going to move fast enough because AI doesn't move at the pace of PDF or policy. It gets smarter all of a sudden, all at once. Actually, it's like there's this new continent, AI Atlantis, and immigration is completely free from there. And they're super skilled workers.
What do you mean immigration is completely free from there?
So you've got this new virtual world, right? And there are all these AI workers, and companies can hire them instantly. No visas required. In fact, they're tax deductible.
Okay. Right. And so couldn't an AI trade union rep help us out here? Do we need an AI workers rep who can advocate at the same level as its AI competitors?
Yes.
That's the only way this is going to work.
I mean, you don't want to say the only way to beat a bad guy with an AI is a good guy with an AI, right? But realistically, again, you can't compete. Like already, you have like an AI super PAC in the US that's $100 million they kicked off with. They're using AI to change policy in all sorts of interesting ways that I can't go into. But you can imagine, again, they're super powered with this technology. And again, the AI they have access to is not the AI that you have access to now.
Yeah.
It's a much smarter.
It's a much smarter one. It's beyond what we can conceive possible. And this is the thing with, and I think she'll go and talk about the Y2K bubble and how this is different. But this is essentially what happens. People dismiss the technology. They think it will never will come and replace them. They stick their head in the sand. And then that day comes that their business is no more there. Like it's just gone. They're not working there anymore. And then reality will hit, and then they will go, well, how do I feed my family? How do I pay the mortgage? And then that's when the civil unrest comes up, because no politician is going to know how to fix this. And only the big dogs, you know, Gates, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Musk, are gonna know what to do, because they're the ones pulling the strings by their masters who are beyond them as well. It's an ongoing tree or pyramid Illuminati. So yeah, we'll keep carrying on.
Version.
What do you say to the fact that, we're speaking today at a time where legacy media is reporting that the AI bubble is about to burst, especially as major investors pull back? We've seen billionaire Peter Thiel's fund sold its entire $100 million stake in NVIDIA, the key AI chip maker, causing NVIDIA stock to drop nearly 3%. Just days earlier, SoftBank also sold its stake. Have any of these moves and the general predictions around the AI bubble bursting tempered your predictions?
So I think the build out of these data center GPUs was too much, because the problem isn't that the AI isn't good enough. The problem is that it's about to get too good. Do you need gigantic data centers when on a MacBook Pro, you have enough compute to basically do almost all of your daily cognitive needs? with the efficiencies that we've gained. To give you an example, GPT-3, when it came out, was $600 per million words, roughly. GPT-5 is $10. Grok 4 Fast, the XAI one by Elon, is 50 cents. And the next generation of models coming out at 10 cents for the million words. So you've gone from $600 to 10 cents. The technological impact is going to go exponential next year because you're going from these prompt-based chat GPT things to virtual workers you can talk to on Zoom that can work for arbitrarily long periods of time and check their own work. But the cost of that they thought would be $10,000, $100,000. It turns out to be $1,000, $100, $10.
It's another Y2K moment.
It's a bit different. So what happened is with the internet bubble, the infrastructure that was laid down eventually laid the thing for the trillion-dollar internet industry. It just took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But again, it popped in terms of investment. Here, you have trillions of dollars of investment because no one can afford to be left behind. But the actual utility is going up, but it just won't need that much infrastructure. So it's a misallocation that should have a temporary pause,
Yeah.
but then means that the cost will go even lower for a given level of thing because you have overcapacity to do economically disruptive work. So some people are going to lose money on the equity side, but the job disruption actually gets accelerated by this, not slowed down.
So what do you say to Peter Capelli, who's a professor at Wharton? He's argued that some companies are basically AI washing, right, their layoffs at the moment, which is a kind of more linked to the current economic climate, which is terrible. He argues that actually adopting AI to save jobs is both complicated and costly. So we tend to think of it as something very simple, but he's saying actually in practice, it's much more complicated than that. And then a September 2025 New York Fed blog found that although 40% of service firms and 26% of manufacturers say they use AI, very few had laid off workers because of it. So how much do you think that the layoffs that we are seeing right now are attributable to the integration of AI versus this AI washing?
I think very few jobs are from AI loss, driven by AI at the moment. I think that there's a marginal improvement on productivity from being able to use the chat GPTs and things of the world. But we're being lulled into a bit of a false sense of security because this agentic movement is the next...
Agentic?
Agentic. So AI agents are like workers that can go and do arbitrarily long tasks. So again, Replit is a very great example of that. It's gone from $1 million revenue to $250 million. Anyone can go there and make a website in 2 minutes. And now it's high quality versus rubbish a year ago. Because it can go and think and it can act proactively and add features without you even asking.
Yeah.
That it's like, go and optimize the SEO. It will go and do things like that. So what's going to happen is the first job losses will start next year. But it's going to be similar to 3 years ago in December of 2022. All head teachers around the world had to ask a question. What's our generative AI policy? Do we let students use this to do their essays? Every single company will be asking the same thing next year in a year's time, or at least 2 years' time, and definitely 3 years' time.
Yeah, so as he's saying, it's becoming like a tool essentially to help you in a business or in your studies or in your day-to-day life at work. But there are more, I guess, more advanced features and agentic nature agents that are cheaper than the average person who works a normal, I guess, 9 to 5. And that's the scary part. Um, 900 days sounds like a fair chunk of time, but really it's not. I mean, 365 days goes like that. And from what he's been saying, it's only going to get more serious. What do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe. Do you think the AI bubble is much to worry about or not at all? But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one because, yes, it's getting a bit dicey, that's for sure. I'll see you in the next one.